Jeff, after graduating from CU, and Seth from Northwestern, have been managing automobile loan portfolios with financial institutions around the country. In 2007, they established the successful business AUTOPAY. If you're doing the math, that's only 10 years after they graduated from Regis Jesuit that it took them to become their own boss. So I'd maybe take some notes. Please join me in welcoming Jeff Hutcheson and Seth Meyer.
Thanks.
Jeff's always been his own boss, for the record.
That's right. That's not really true, Seth. You've been my boss since I met you. Seth and I, we went to school here, obviously. We met freshman year. So that was 1993. So it's been a real long time. And we were pretty good friends in high school. We both played on the basketball team. We played the same position. And Seth was better than I was, and so it wasn't always the best friendship. It was kind of maybe contentious at first, but we loved to hate each other, and after college we got to be better friends and got to work together, and then have been able to set up a business, and now work together and sit next to this guy every day. It's kind of cool that we were able to get that going here. This is a little different format. We had career week or career day or something or other when we were there. And it didn't feel this informal. There was no pizza, and didn't feel like you could have maybe much of a conversation. So this is new to us. So if anybody can somebody tell me maybe what you guys want to hear about? I mean, we know about where we've been. We know about our time at Regis. We know about college. We know about finance and the business that we set up. Is there anything in particular that anybody cares about, or is this all about the pizza you care about?
So you guys have started a successful business, and creating a business, first of all, is a very scary thing to do. What are the steps you have to take to make sure you have a strong base and that you have a chance to succeed in the business?
Okay, I think we can absolutely address that. Yeah, it's a question we ask ourselves every day. So we can share with you what we've learned thus far about how we came to set up a business and some of the things that we learned about, and maybe some of the keys to the successes that we've had thus far. So definitely hit on that. Anybody else want to throw out something that we can feel like this is sort of anybody else have any? Yeah.
Have you guys had any funding, and if so, how many investments?
Yeah, good question. We hit that. We'll hit that. We're gonna hit funding.
Yeah.
We're gonna hit funding. We're gonna hit keys to success. Yeah.
Have you found any slumps in your time and you felt like you couldn't get through it, and how you overcame that?
Yeah,
every other day. So you gotta get up and go to work.
Yeah, definitely hit that. And then
how did you transition from whatever job you had before you started your business to creating a business, and what's that like?
Cool. Yeah, maybe we'll kind of get that, and then it'll dovetail to here. We talk about some funding, and then we're going to talk about some slumping.
What did you guys focus on in college that took you where you wanted to be today?
Yeah. That's really good. That's actually going to precede that one. That's really good. Anybody else? I'm going to throw out something. Yeah.
I would just say one of the things you did at Regis Jesuit that you really were glad you did, or that you learned, and then things that you would have
Wish we had done. Oh man.
Yeah.
Oh man. If there was only a time machine to go back.
If you were them, what would you do?
If I were them, right. I remember everybody telling that kind of stuff that always fell on deaf ears. At least for me. It's hard to hear it. But yeah, I'll definitely share a little bit of that. Yeah.
If your company is similar to other companies,
yeah.
How can you make your company more stand out, or have your customers go to you instead of the other companies?
Awesome. All right. Okay. Good. All right. So I think
Should we just start with some of our time at Regis, and then
it's probably a good idea.
Take us through a timeline and address some of these things?
Why don't you let's tell us about Regis, Seth.
Well, a long time ago, there was a school called Regis, and it was nothing like this. So there was one building over there, the old girls' building. None of this existed. there were no girls, just a bunch of males running around. And that's kind of where it all started for Jeff and myself. You know, I grew up and I lived in Boulder. I commuted down to Regis. Jeff lived in Chatfield and came here, and you know, we were just we had a great group of friends. We both played different sports, and we tried to survive Regis. I think going to Regis is it's a tough task. It's demanding, intellectually. Mentally, it's stimulating. I think it's demanding, emotionally and spiritually. Obviously, as teenagers, everybody's going through a lot, and I think Regis demands that you be the best person that you can be. I think for us, Adam, I think just getting through it and making the great relationships and friends that we did was something that we were proud of. Certainly, there were lots of different tools and activities that I think both Jeff and I both look back on that perhaps we didn't take advantage of. And just looking back, and certainly my time here, we're very, very happy and pleased with the experience. Obviously, it was incredibly formative for us, and really kind of created the foundation for our friendship, and then our professional life as well. But there's just always there's always more you'd like to do, more activities. Work a little bit harder, maybe get that 4.0 instead of the 3.6 or something like that. So there's a lot. But 3.7. There you go. But so really kind of as Jeff mentioned, Jeff's first job out of college actually kind of came from Regis. So there weren't females here, so we hung out with a lot of girls from St. Mary's. And it turned out that so Jeff went to CU and I went to Northwestern in Chicago, and Jeff became friends, maintained a friendship with a girl that we all hung out with in high school. And it turned out that her dad was starting an auto finance company, and Jeff pursued an internship there when he was...
I was desperate for some experience. Right. My dad, I grew up in a family of entrepreneurs, so my dad kind of did his own thing, and my mom, although she didn't have her own, she also like that. She was always kind of her own boss, even when she was working for other people. And so I grew up in that kind of environment. I had always worked for my dad, and I did accounting and sales. When I was in high school, I drove there every day. I was a janitor and cleaned up. He had a construction maintenance fueling company, and I was a janitor for the repair shop. And I had to clean up oil spills and things like that at night. And that was all I really had. And I knew I wanted to be in finance, and I didn't have any. I didn't think real experience because I'd always gotten it from my dad. So I thought I got to step out. I'm going to find out somebody who's doing a business that I'm interested in, and I wanted to be a venture capitalist. And I didn't know what that meant at all when I was 19, 20, and I was thinking about that. It sounded good. It sounded like something that was going to be a good thing to be. I understood it to be something that venture capital is a part of finance, a type of finance discipline where you're out looking for businesses to invest in. And if you are a venture capitalist, if that's what you do, your job is to go out and find businesses that are good opportunities to invest in. And since I could never decide on anything I ever wanted to do, I thought getting to look at all these other great businesses and great ideas, and that sounded like a really good, a good track. So I didn't have any experience in venture capital. I had experience being a janitor and doing sales for mobile fueling, and nothing to do with that. And so the friend of ours, her dad was he called himself a venture capitalist, and he said, "Hey, Kate, if you could, introduce me to your dad. If I could get an internship, that'd be great." And I met him, and I said, "Hey, I'll jump on Excel. I'll do models. I'll do whatever you want me to do. I just want to hang out and kind of see what it is you guys are all doing here. Anything just to get some experience so that I can get the job that I really wanted to get, which is going to be in New York. And I was going to be a venture capitalist in New York, in some big building, and I was going to be traveling all over the world, investing in lots of cool things, really fancy suits, and cars or whatever, or not cars, I mean New York, so I wouldn't need a car. But my life was, I knew kind of how it's going to go, and it's going to start from this internship. And this company, it started, and it was, I guess, kind of a lucky break. So 2 weeks of me being there, the boss says, hey man, we don't have anybody with this particular skill, and we need you to try and do this. And you step up, you act like you can do it, you fake it till you make it, you say, sure I can do it, and then you go read a book that you had from college that reminded you how to do it. And you build a model, and you think you're right, you don't know, you ask somebody, and then you just make it happen. So you build a model, and the model seems to work. And then they say, hey, we need you to go out to we need you to travel and go explain this model to somebody. And so you go and you go do that, and then these little doors get opened just because you step, and then when you step into it, you step into that door, you step into that opportunity, and you look around, and you realize there's more here, and there's another door at the end of that room. And then you get through that experience, and you try a little harder, and you open up that, and that door's opened up, and then you walk through there, and then that's how careers are built. It's from starting with that one thing, which, to bring it back to the beginning, for me, I think even was when I decided to go to Regis, right? I mean, it was, you all, maybe you didn't decide on your own, maybe it was strong urging from your parents, but you decided to be here. You decided to stick through it, you decided to get to the point that you are here today. You decided to get through it, you decided to be here in this room today. I wouldn't be in this room today if 20 years ago or however many years ago it was. So you're already doing those things, and so you'll find some of these opportunities are going to present themselves. And so step number one to kind of get it going was just recognizing those opportunities and stepping up and taking advantage of that.
Yeah, I think that's right. And so at that point, Jeff was still in school. I was at Northwestern, and I'd come back, and we'd spend weekends and holidays together. And certainly that was the first thing that I learned was Jeff really attacked this position. He saw opportunity in a company that had lots of holes in it, and with that, he didn't quite know what he was doing, but he fooled enough people into thinking that.
And every company has holes.
Yeah, that's definitely right. So it's always important in life to take every position you have seriously, and to treat it like it's the most important position in the company, but to also always look for doing that next additional step and doing the role of the position that you want. So we continued on in that company, and then I graduated, and I thought I was going to come back and go to law school. So I was preparing to take the bar. I took the bar, and in the meantime, I ended up taking a job at this company. It was called Centrix. They were an indirect subprime auto finance company, which means that essentially they bought auto loans from dealerships, and they kind of brokered them to credit unions. Pretty exciting. I couldn't wait to get out of there. I needed a job. So so we trained in different areas, and then eventually we ended up, Jeff and I ended up working together in the same group. At that point, I actually worked for Jeff. He was a vice president and wore a nice suit to work every day.
I got to wear my suits.
Yes. And so we did that for, gosh, that was 2001 or 2, and we did that until 2006. And so those were incredibly formative years for us. It was a growing company. We were able to not be top leadership of the company, but we had great experience and great exposure to clients and to the industry itself. So I think somebody asked, how do you start a business? And it's difficult, but you have to have some type of expertise or subject matter expertise or experience in what you're doing if you really want to go about it confidently and think that you can execute on what it is you're trying to do. So, we were kind of in auto finance for that period of time, and that company had some difficulties on the regulatory side. The credit union regulatory body is called the NCUA, and they had some problems with the program. And eventually that company had an abrupt end, and it went away in about 9 or 10 months.
This company went from, when I started, there were 39 people, and there was 1,500 people. So from 2000 to 2005, we grew from basically 39 to 1,500 people. Huge success, lots of great things, a lot of momentum, and it was April of 2005. We did about over 10,000 loans we did in this particular company. It made us one of the largest independent finance companies in the country. And in May, we did 4 loans. And that was it. So just like that, it can happen. So you're part of this company and everything's great and you're wearing your suits. Yeah. And then the next day it's like, hey guys, this all ends. Yeah. And so we learned a lot too. So part of the experience was, not just coming in and seeing a company form, not just recognizing that there are holes all over the place in any company, small or big, and creating value for that company, which then brings value back to yourself, is filling those holes, identifying places where I can probably do that. Stepping in, filling that hole, you get recognized, doors get opened up. So that's huge. And then you learn a lot as it builds. You learn about infrastructure, you learn about training, you learn about culture and how important that is in a business. Getting people to show up every day and be excited about the fact that they're there, and to wave your flag, that they want to wear your shirt when they go. They want to wear your company logo. I can't believe we have a company now and people wear our company logo, and I just think it's so cool. I can't believe that they're doing that. I mean, you guys all experience that now. You guys are, look around at the culture that's around you here, and you guys are all way in on it. And we were way in on it, and believe it, it's important.
Isaiah Ross, if you are in the Steel Center,
it's really important.
College counseling.
So you learn a lot as a company builds, and you learn about that infrastructure, learn about the training, the building of culture, and then you learn, maybe equal amount when something stops like that, and then you see something decline, and you see something wind down, and essentially die off. And there's so much to learn in that as well. And so we just had some really great experience that we were able to kind of suck in and learn and observe. And I'd like to think that, back to Regis, one of the things that I know that when I got to college and I looked around and I saw some of the ways that I felt like I was different maybe from my experience, I knew how to study, I knew how to learn, and I cared about it. And you all don't appreciate it now, you just don't. I know you don't, you know what I'm saying, it's blah, 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 but I'm telling you, you guys know how to study, you know how to learn, and what you get here is that, and other people aren't getting that. And so it's a huge, huge benefit you guys have. So recognize that, maybe you can't recognize it, but believe me, it's a skill in you that you have. You have the ability to learn, study, and it will go on forever. And when you're in these types of, when you're getting your first jobs, you guys are going to suck all that in, and that experience is going to be very transformative for you.
Yeah, I agree.
So what happened? The company failed?
So the company failed, and I think
we're out of work.
Both Jeff and I, when things go bad, oftentimes things can go sideways, and so things never got really sideways with Jeff and I, but we kind of decided to pursue other opportunities. At that point, I was getting a master's in public policy. Jeff went back to business school. Jeff actually started another company, and we kind of went our separate ways, thinking that kind of our auto finance lives were over, and it was time for kind of a new chapter. I think we're probably 25 or 26 at that point, but kind of our I think our friendship and some of the things that experiences that we had shared going all the way back to Regis kind of drew us back together. And then also kind of it was just our expertise, and the things that we knew weren't exactly exciting to us at the time and weren't something that we were trying to pursue, but people kept on, some of our clients from our old company kept on pursuing us and asking us for help and assistance in managing their portfolios and helping them trade some of those out. So in 2007, I think Jeff and I got together and we started the company that we have now. It's called AUTOPAY. We started a finance company. We started purchasing loans from first our credit union partners that we had at our previous company, and then from auto dealerships, both independent and franchise dealerships. So over the course of the next 5 years, that business continued to grow, and just this past year, I'm kind of fast forwarding through a lot of stuff, but about a year and a half ago, we kind of repositioned the business from an indirect model to a direct-to-consumer model. And we've kind of transitioned our business from more of a traditional finance company to a financial technology company that transacts auto loan financing and refinancing in an automated fashion online. So that's kind of where the company is now. We have 115 employees. We're located in Denver, Colorado, and I think we're both eternally grateful for Regis and the opportunities that it presented to us to allow us to be so fortunate with some of the success that we've had.
So when we started our company, we had to talk about who's actually forming a company and some of the things there. So you got to have some subject matter expertise. You got to know what it is you're trying to do, and don't just decide you want to open up if you've never done anything in restaurant or industry, just don't assume a pizza parlor is like really easy to do, because it's not. It seems easy, but it's not. It's a business, and you need to develop some of these skills and some of these expertise. And so you got to have that. Of course, you got to have some luck, and you got to have support and all this other kind of. But you need money.
Yeah.
So how are you gonna fundraise? What do you do? And so you asked about rounds of funding, and so part of that, where you're getting at, is how do you capitalize your business? How do you start it? Where does the money come from? And you have choices there. So there's kind of two main ways to go. There's one way called bootstrap, where what that means is you start small and you buy. What we did is we bought a loan. And that loan, one single individual loan, and that one little loan made us a little bit of money. And then we used that little bit of extra money to buy 2 loans. And then now we have 2 loans making us a little bit more money. And then we bought 8 loans. Then we bought a portfolio. Then we got second mortgages on our homes. And then we bought a bunch of loans. And then we kept buying more and more loans. And so what that is, so you start small and you gradually chip away, and you kind of build a business that way. So Seth and I bootstrapped our business, meaning the whole way through, we haven't had a round. We've created the business, but it's good and bad. So it's cool because it's Seth and I. It's our business. So we got to own it, and it was just about us. So that's neat. But another way to build a business is if you have a really great idea that's really got to go fast. If being first to market really matters. If you got to get there, you got to get this product out. Maybe you need to capitalize in like a fundraise. So there, what you're doing is you're building a business plan, highlighting your expertise and your education at Regis and wherever you get to go after this. And you're saying, this is why I can do this, and you're going to your friends and family, and they call it the 3 Fs, and if anybody here goes to finance, you'll hear it here first. Friends, family, and fools is who you go to start your fundraise. And usually, don't call your family and friends fools, but they're the ones who
they're usually one and the same.
One and the same, right? So you go there and you raise a little bit of money, and then you start a little bit more. You build out that business plan, and then you go to angel investors or venture capitalists, which is what I wanted to do, and then from there, then you go into the second tier. And so those large chunks are rounds. So your first round is friends and families and fools, and then you get a little bit bigger round from your angel investors, then you go to venture capitalists, and then you go to the market and you go on these road shows, and they take you around to New York, and they highlight all your things you've done, and they say how you're going to make the world a better place from the technology that you built through integrated automobile finance, direct to consumer, and everybody gets excited, and they do an IPO, and you make all this money. That's not what we did, and that's what a lot of people do, but that is not what we did. So we bootstrapped our way to where we are today, and we called on the experiences that we had in that second company, and what we learned about building infrastructure, and how important that was, building culture, and how that was. Those are important building blocks. You really got to focus on the process of your business, thinking about, is it scalable, is what we're doing. If we do 10 of them today with this process, how hard is it going to be to do 1,000? What's our limit? And if we change the process, can it be more scalable? Can we do it more and more and more? So you think about those things. You think about training for the people that you have, that you bring on, and then again, a lot of that culture. So that's how we started it. That's how we funded it, and then we kind of went around. Any slumps? What kind of slumps have we had? I think probably the biggest, I'd say, maybe along what we've done. I mean, some of the most important times that we've had, or the most important advancements in our business, are a result of maybe failures, and we call them slumps, but bad decisions that didn't work out right, kind of put your back against the wall and you got to figure out something different. So like Seth said, we started out, what our business did is we bought loans from dealerships. I can only imagine what that means to you. People go to car dealerships and they want to buy a car, right? And you go there and how do you pay for it? There's some guy in the back, so sitting in a room back there, who's going to help you buy that car. He's going to help you, he's going to give you financing, he's going to give you a loan to buy that car. Is everybody kind of familiar? Okay. So that guy who's back there, who's typing your application in a computer, he's talking to a bunch of banks and finance companies that are out there, seeing if he can get your loan approved. And so we were one of the many, many thousands of banks on the other side of that computer that were trying to say, oh yeah, we'd like to buy that, and here's how much we pay for that. And then that person who's sitting there on the screen, he's shopping, trying to figure out who's going to pay him the most for your loan so you can get that car and drive away. And it's a pretty efficient process. It goes pretty fast. I mean, you don't have to wait 6 or 7 hours for the dealership to get it done.
It's three or four.
The 3 or 4 now. Oh, the World Wide Web has really helped things out. So the indirect finance means that we go to the dealer instead of to the consumer, because you, all the consumer, go to the dealer to get your car, and the loan's just part of your car, so you don't even care about your lender, you care about driving away in the car. So the model traditionally is going to dealerships, and then that's how you get the loans. So we were doing that, and when we started our business in 2008, that was right after, was anybody even alive with the mortgage meltdown? Barely, right? Yeah. Some people in the room. So when the mortgage meltdown happened, all of the banks went away. Nobody was buying loans, except for these two idiots. We were buying loans, as many as we possibly could, because we didn't know any better.
Which wasn't that many.
It wasn't that many. It was like, yeah, it wasn't that many. It was whatever our second mortgages in our home could buy, which is nothing. And so, but nobody else was buying. There was no competition. So we didn't have to be smart. We were just out kind of pricing as we thought, and then we would get these loans, and because we weren't really competing with anybody, we got to be wrong and still end up winning. And so that was pretty neat. We got to be opportunistic, and that was able to grow, but eventually the money came back. And in 2012, 2013, Wells Fargo and Ally Bank and Capital One, you see 0% financing, all of a sudden the money's back, and the mortgage crisis never happened, and everybody's just buying loans like crazy again. Well, all of those guys are huge, these big behemoth companies, and since we're just this little bootstrap finance company, we can't compete like that. We can't offer the same types of pricing that these other guys can. So we ended up, the loans that we got were junk, because if you're that dealer and you're typing into that computer screen and you're trying to figure out where you're going to send that loan, you're going to send it to Wells Fargo, who's got the power of volume, they can pay more for it, and they can say something like, hey, Mr. Dealer, if you don't send me 30 of those deals that you were sending to AUTOPAY last year, and you don't send me those, we're not doing business anymore. And the dealer has to say, fine, I'll send you whatever you want, Mr. Wells Fargo, because if I don't, I'm out of business. So we end up getting kind of the bottom drawer bad loans, not what you want, and that kind of led to our slump, our first slump, which was competition came back, the market changed, our reality changed, so we had to evolve, and we had to do that quickly, because you don't have a lot of time to figure this out. So we said, forget the dealer, we're going to the consumer. Everybody's got iPhones, and there's all these apps and ways to shop for cars now. You can buy a car on a phone, and it's so slick and easy, and dealerships are going out of style, and people are buying cars differently. But what they weren't able to do is when you're shopping for a car on your phone, there isn't a guy in a room that can get you the financing for that car. So you can kind of window shop, but I can't pay for that, right? I need a loan. So how do we bring that guy who's in the back room into the app? And so that was the pivot that we made. That was the turn that we made, and that's what we're doing today. We are a virtual guy in the back in these mobile applications and for web searching. If you guys are searching for a car on cars.com or Every Auto or Auto Trader or something like that, we have technology that integrates there, so when you're looking for that financing, you can actually execute it before you get to the dealership, so you don't have to wait in that 4 to 7 hour line, and we can do that all automated.
Question for you. As interest rates have been really low for the last 10 years or so, but as interest rates will eventually rise and cars become more expensive, more and more people tend to lease cars instead of buy cars. How do you prepare for leasing becoming a bigger and bigger percentage of the car business?
Yeah, leasing is. So leasing, yeah, good question. So leasing is becoming a bigger part. But as interest rates rise and as people are not able to afford cars as much, what ends up happening is the value of cars get compressed. People are not able to buy as many used cars, so you can't pay as much for them. And so the residual value begins to be called into question. And so the leasing companies can't offer as low of interest rates, they can't offer as low of payments because the residual value on those cars is falling. And so you're already seeing a little bit of that, a little softening in some of the residuals and some pullback on lease options that are available. So, but it's absolutely, it's valid. Leasing is becoming more and more popular.
I think the other thing that will happen is there just won't be as many car purchases or leases that are done in a rising rate environment.
So how do you prepare for that yourself?
We have capacity planning, so that's a great question. So businesses grow and then businesses contract. And so whoever you guys all are and you want to create your own business, you need to have mechanisms for how you're going to build a business. And then just like we learned, you have to have mechanisms for how you peel it back. You have to know how to peel it back. So when things go wrong, and they will, and as your business contracts, and it will, you know how to, it's unfortunate, but you know how to lay off people and which people you have to lay off and how to communicate that, timely, so that you're not languishing with a lot of labor and people that you can't afford.
Has Denver been a good city for you guys to start up, or would a better city have made you more money?
No, I think Denver's been a great city for us. It's a little more expensive now than it was when we started, but I think it's been a great city for us. We've been able to attract investor capital to fund our pools of loans, and then really over the last 24 months, as we've kind of pivoted into more of a technology company, there's been a great amount of talent that we've been able to cultivate. There's been a big demographic shift here. With young people, so it's been a great city.
Yeah, right now the key is access. All businesses are fighting for programming talent. A little cue in on that. There's 1 million unplaced programming jobs that are out there, and I'd say some of the two highest paid professions are finance and tech. Finance, specifically software engineering, and so those two things are very high demand, and so we do have a decent amount of that here.
And will be for a long time.
Do you feel if you had to have gone the route of raising your funds with the business plan, a more formal presentation, do you feel your background through business school was enough to, did they give you a good format for a great business plan and to go out there in the world to?
Yeah, so that's a good question. So anybody here who's considering business school, if you're thinking that you want to work after college and you want to be in business somewhere and you want to do that, I think a lot of people, I highly recommend a university with a business school. It's a trade school. They teach you the trade of business, and you get to learn the different disciplines. I'm partial to finance in there, so I think absolutely. So you definitely get that if you pay attention and you're looking and you care about that. So for me, I was kind of going into college. I knew what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted venture capital. Didn't know what it meant, but I knew that was finance. And I was just going to really try hard to listen and learn and and understand something about finance and all that. So yeah, I thought so.
I have a different opinion. I don't really think so. So I was a history major, and I got a master's in public policy. Like Jeff mentioned, I think I learned how to learn, here at Regis. So you're able to pick stuff up as you go along, and I think anything that you guys do, I don't think you necessarily need formal training for. I think it certainly could benefit some people more than others, but I certainly don't think it's necessary for getting into business or for exploiting any expertise that you have. Mr.
I have two related questions. First, what perhaps was your most useful and most useless subject in high school?
Well, obviously,
come on.
Our most useful is Latin.
Extremely, Latin. I thought our classics and Latin was probably the difference between where we are today.
I still look back now, and that's the differentiator that I found.
That's
right. You guys are the same as in high school. Second is, in all honesty, what would you say are some of the values or the lessons you learned in high school, which sort of address it, that have helped you succeed?
I mean, it's kind of tough. First of all, I wouldn't be where I am without Jeff's friendship, and without, kind of him being, I guess, my other half professionally and personally. And that all started here at Regis. So it was, hanging out with him and our other group of friends, all day long, and being sometimes being rats, sometimes being good kids, sometimes not. But we certainly learned, we learned the value of friendship. And of course, as we progressed throughout our professional careers, it was always good that we came from the same place and that we knew we shared the same values. And all of that, emanated from Regis, for being a man for others, for doing the right things by ourselves, by our family, and doing them for the right reasons. I think that I couldn't imagine having a business partner or being in business with people that I didn't know felt the same way about everything, about life.
Yeah, so many businesses, there's a lot of, Seth mentioned, I started a business in between, after the first place, and I started a business there. And he was a buddy, he's this big, gregarious guy. He was just, everybody liked him. I liked him a lot. We were friends, our families were friends. He was a friend of my father's. He actually introduced my dad to his second wife. There's no reason why that shouldn't work out, Perry and I. He's a really good guy, but it wasn't going to work. As we got going, what you find out is it's like a marriage, having a partnership. It absolutely is. I see him every day. I see him more than my family, and we fight. You're going to fight. And there's good times, bad times, whatever. We all have our opinions, but you got to have these common values. And although he and I are on opposite sides of most any spectrum, we share the same spectrum, and that's what's important. So there isn't a meeting in the middle. There are some people you find, oh yeah, I'm way different than that guy, and oh, we'll just, opposites attract, and we'll meet in the middle. Well, if you're not on the same spectrum, you won't. You're just different, and there is no meeting. And that's kind of where I was in my first business, and that just wasn't going to work out. So definitely, that's huge. The friendships, and again, you all appreciate this later, and you don't appreciate it now. But I guess just leave here feeling good about your experience here. That it's going to be, it's going to take you to the next level. Right? Yeah. You guys are all doing great things here, and you can look around you because there's friends you have here now, and it's not just Seth and I. We are surrounded by Regis alums that we have helped and that have helped us along the way. It's not just Seth and I against the world. We have half dozen guys. We're working with some people now, Regis guys who are older than us, who are absolutely taking us and they're helping us out every day. And there are people 4 or 5 years ago who absolutely took us by our our collars and helped us out. Collars? I'm thinking like the best. There you go. Not collar. Life jackets. Weirded. Yeah. Yeah.
Do you think you'll get admired or
well, it's interesting. So I don't know. So we probably not. It's probably more of an acquisition by a public company or acquisition by a company that would go public. Going public is an interesting process, and typically it's smoother well, at least maybe it would be smoother for us where we are, that an acquisition into a public company or an acquisition of a company that would go public would make more sense. So we are at a place now with the technology that we have. Now we're in a little different spot. So now we are back to, does it make sense to bootstrap a technology company? You got to have this stuff out. What I just mentioned to you all, automated finance on your phone, you think we're the only people working on that? No, we have a lead right now. We're integrated in some of the leading web apps that are out there that are coming out of California. We're in 75% of them. We have a stronghold now on all 4 of them. And but we're not the only people who are working on that. And so you have to ask yourself: is now the time to have that business plan together, put down your experiences, show the value proposition that you're going to offer the world, and how you're going to make it a better place, and then partner up or team up or get acquired by somebody who can help as your custodian and usher this promise into the market.
Yeah, and just to dovetail on that, I think there was a question about slumps, and Jeff was maybe more philosophical about his slumps. I think every time that we've had a slump, at least for me personally, it's felt like it followed situations of success and then probably some complacency too. So, just generally in life, if something seems too easy, you're probably not succeeding at it, or you're not doing it as well as you could be. So I think that's part of it, and that just dovetails into the second thing. I mean, we've had to pivot and change our business a couple different times. I mean, three major ones. So owning a company, you always have to be nimble and not be wed to any one particular way of doing things or business model.
I think the bell's about to ring here, so if there are any other questions, they'll be hanging around for a little bit after. You can ask them, but thanks a lot for coming. And